Okay, so I'm sure by now a lot of you have heard of the brand Gruns. It is a healthy superfood gummy that is taking the internet by storm. And I want to break down why I feel they've had so much success so early on. Now, this is a brand that was only started a couple of years ago, and the founder is a phenomenal operator. And so that's kind of the first thing you have to understand, is that this is not just somebody who had an idea and decided to run with it. This is someone with a lot of experience, a proven track record, and just a great overall operator. But it sometimes takes more than being a great operator. It takes having the right idea, it takes picking the right industry, and choosing the right path for your brand. In this video, I want to break down the business fundamentals of Gruns and why I feel they've been so successful, because I don't think it's by chance or luck. I think there's real reason for their success. So, again, for those of you that don't know the brand, it is a healthy superfood gummy. So, they pack all of these healthy ingredients into a gummy, and have kind of fun packaging. They have this little bear that's like their mascot. And so they're basically taking something that was traditionally kind of boring, right? Like this superfood concept of getting all of your vitamins and minerals and nutrients in for the day. Those are traditionally kind of basic companies, basic branding. They really took a fun approach to it and really made it an approachable brand. So took this concept that is boring and stale and made it very fun. Now, that's the brand, right? And I think they've done a great job with their branding and their packaging, and their work with influencers and digital marketing. But again, there's a lot of companies that do that. And sometimes that business model does not work. And you look at Gruns, you say, how did they take this brand in a few short years, turn it into a multi-$100 million business? So let's take a look at the product itself, because there's a few things here that I think really contribute to their success. The first thing, the product itself. So this is a massive market that they're selling to. Health supplements, nutritional supplements and products. It's a massive market. Everybody is basically a customer of that. Now, we may not all take them every day, but we are all potential customers of that product. So massive market size, right? The product itself, it is very conducive to e-commerce. So gummies, it's a very high margin business. So the first thing they've got is this addressable market that's massive. The next thing they got is a very high margin business. It does not cost a lot to produce these gummies, and they're selling them at a price point where they're making a lot of money every purchase. And so that's very important, because a lot of businesses, say in the beverage space or others, you have low margins. And so when you acquire customers or you get customers for the first time, you're not very profitable. And you're basically hoping that over time, those customers come back and buy again. And then you can kind of make some money on those customers. Well, with gummies, you're making a lot of money from that first purchase. So it allows you to kind of cash flow the business and use those profits to reinvest in marketing, product development, or what have you, to grow the business. So that high margin is very, very critical. It's also a very lightweight product. Gummies weigh nothing, right? And so shipping product to customers is very cheap. That kind of layers on top of their already high margin. So it costs little to produce and it costs little to ship, yet they can charge a price point that allows them to make a lot of money. The next thing on top of those things is that it's a consumable, and ideally a consumable that you're having every day. And so with that comes repeat purchases. So now you buy the product the first time, Gruns makes a lot of money on your purchase, but then you come back and buy again and again and again. And there's no additional money that Gruns is spending to get you to purchase again, right? So that first purchase, maybe you saw an ad that they had to pay for. Maybe they worked with an influencer. There may have been some marketing involved with getting you in the door. Well, now that you're in the door, you bought the product already. The only cost they have on those additional purchases is producing the product and shipping the product, which, as we just went over, does not cost a lot of money. So they're making an amazing margin on those additional purchases. If you go on their website, they push the subscriptions very heavy and they'll discount those subscriptions considerably. So, what they likely are doing is putting kind of a phantom price on that first time purchase. And what I mean by phantom price is they're charging a number that is high. And at first, you're like, ooh, like this product seems great, but I don't know if I want to spend that amount of money to just buy the product one time. Like that might price you out. But then you look at and say, oh my God, this subscription, I can save X%. Like that's a more reasonable price point. Now, mind you, on that discounted price, Gruns is still making a ton of money. So this phantom price kind of shies you away from that one-time purchase and gets you into the mood and gets you incentivized to sign up for that subscription. The subscription is exactly what we just talked about. You buy it again and again and again on auto ship. And to be honest, even if you want to cancel, we all know that we're not great at canceling subscriptions. How many of us have subscriptions that we're meaning to cancel? And it takes 3, 4, 5 months until one, we even realize it, but two, to just like get around to actually doing it. So even those customers that want to cancel Gruns, they are on subscription for a few months at least. So Gruns is making a ton of money on it. The other thing that they're doing with the product is what I call SKU rationalization. And now, for those of you that don't know, SKU just means like variation of your product, right? So, like, that could be different pack sizes, that could be different flavors, that could be different types of product. Now, they now have, I believe, 2 versions of the product. They have their traditional Gruns, and then they have like a sugar-free version, I think. But when they first started, it was just the one. And even now, they're a very large company. They have 2 SKUs. And so what does that do? Well, one, it improves efficiencies across the board. It really helps with their cash flow. It makes them more profitable. And it also doesn't confuse the customer. Like, we as customers get very overwhelmed when we have a lot of decisions. Paralysis by analysis, the consumer's dilemma, whatever you want to call it. When we as consumers are presented with a lot of options, sometimes we don't make any decisions, right? Like, how many times have you been ordering food, or you want to pick out a new piece of clothing, and you're like going into and you're like, okay, I'm a buyer, I want food, I want this piece of clothing. You go look for those things, or it's even better one, movies. How many times have you flipped on Netflix and you're like, I want to watch a movie, I'm ready to watch a movie, and you spend 3 hours looking for a movie to watch, to only have 3 hours pass, and you pick no movie, and then you just go to bed. So that's like the consumer's dilemma. When we have a lot of options, we are not good as humans at making those decisions. So when you have a product and you don't have a lot of optionality, it's just like very obvious. Like, you want the product, you're interested in the product, you don't even have time, or you're not wasting time thinking about which one you want, because there's just one option. So if you like the product, you're just buying that one. And so it's very tempting. And I'm sure that they had this dilemma internally at Gruns to come out with all sorts of different flavors and pack sizes, because you're thinking in a customer's mindset, okay, maybe I have like a peach flavored gummy, but maybe customers don't want peach flavor. Maybe they're going to want strawberry, maybe they want lemon, or whatever it is. And you ultimately end up creating all these products, and that really hurts your business, actually, because you're providing more optionality, so the customer has time to think and time to kind of consider their different options, and they may not choose one. You also are going to be spending more money, because those products are all going to have different ingredients. And so, the lemon flavor is going to be different than the strawberry flavored. And maybe it's as simple as like, it's just the flavor you have to purchase, but that's still another thing to purchase. It also hurts your cash flow because you're tying up money in different things instead of pouring it into one. Now, by also pouring it into one thing, Gruns is able to maximize their cost savings on ingredients because it's kind of like the Chick-fil-A model. You kind of focus on one thing, you're able to produce and purchase all the ingredients necessary to make your product, and you're doing it at such a volume that you're getting those discounts. So suppliers, if you guys aren't familiar, suppliers will have prices for certain ingredients. So, they're buying their nutrients and their health ingredients for the product, their flavor, and it's a certain price for those ingredients. However, after you reach certain volume thresholds, most suppliers will offer you discounts. And so if you are growing your business, you're buying more, you're going to have cost savings. But also, because you're only buying one type, all of your inventory is going to be that. So, say you're buying like 1 million units. Well, if you have 5 different flavors, you might have like your best seller that's taking like 400,000 of the units. You may have one that's taking like 100,000 units, and then like the other few are making up the remainder. And so, if you look at the lowest of that group, you're not able to really maximize your cost savings because you're not at that volume. But instead, if you're buying 1 million of one thing, now the supplier is willing to give you that discount because they're moving so much volume. So not only does it help, consolidate optionality for the customer, but it also is a massive advantage from a supply chain standpoint because you get those cost savings. You also get on the supply chain side of things um, a lot of efficiency around like ordering and production because say you have 5 different flavors and 3 or 4 of them are like doing well, but like you have plenty of inventory. And then for whatever reason, one flavor is just selling like crazy. Well, you have to like buy more product because you don't want that product to go out of stock. You don't want that SKU going out of stock. So now like you're kind of struggling because you're like, well, our business as a whole hasn't really recouped all of our money from the last production run. We haven't made a whole lot, but what are we going to do? We have to keep that flavor in stock. So now we have to go spend more money to do a production run on that flavor. Now most manufacturers don't want small production runs, so you may be forced to run the other flavors as well. And now you just are sitting on a lot of inventory of those other flavors. So by having one flavor, it just makes things a lot easier, right? It makes things very simple. It's like we're selling one thing. As that starts to sell through, we can time when we need to order more. So that simplification of supply chain is amazing for businesses. It makes that planning a whole lot easier. You have these subscriptions, so you go into the month knowing you need X amount of inventory, plus whatever you're forecasting to sell additionally in that month. And so it makes it very easy to actually plan that. So there's a lot of things that go into like what makes Gruns that kind of magical darling of a CPG slash e-commerce business right now. Again, the operator is phenomenal. Chad's phenomenal, and he's got a lot of skill. He's got a lot of experience, so he's doing a great job. But I don't think now I haven't spoken to him personally about this, but I don't think that this product was just a lucky guess. I think he looked at the market and said, what is a massive market I can go after? What's a product in that market I can make and kind of have an interesting twist on it and kind of have a branding play? And what is something that is conducive to e commerce? Now they're in some retail, but starting out, they were just e commerce. Like, what is something that we can sell and make a lot of money online? Well, it's something like I just went over, going over those things again. Big market, make a product that's a lot more interesting than the other products in that market. A high margin product. Don't have a whole lot of flavors or different SKUs. Consolidate everything. Make something that's easy and lightweight to ship. And make something that's a consumable that people ideally are going to have time and time again. If you put all of those things together, you have the most amazing blueprint for a product that's successful. So maybe you don't want to go and start the next Gruns. Maybe you don't want to start a health food gummy, but there's a lot that we can take away from this. Okay. And to be honest, it's something that I've taken into account when I've started Wake Up Water. Wake Up Water, for those of you that don't know, is a brand I started a few years ago. It's a healthy energy drink mix. And although it's different than a health food gummy, it's the same concept, right? It's like a high margin business that's lightweight. It's a consumable, so people have it time and time again, so people can go on subscriptions. And then lastly, it's something that is a big market. Like caffeine is, you know, consumed by I think like 95% of Americans. So it's a massive market. And something we've done okay but not amazing is like that SKU rationalization. So when we started, we had 3 flavors. Um, we also had a variety pack to put those 3 flavors together. So we started with 4 SKUs. And if I could do it all over again, I would consider just having like one flavor. Like go with like a lemon. Go with something pretty universal, pretty basic, and just like sell that one thing. Because we ran into that issue where we'd have some flavors doing better than others and messed up a supply chain and cash flow and all these things. And you flash forward to today, we now have 5 flavors and a variety pack. So we have 6 SKUs, and we're still a small business. Gruns is a much larger business than us. So it's tempting to go out and try to be everything to everyone. It's tempting to listen to consumer feedback and say, oh, you want to have different pack sizes and you want to have different flavors and different kind of functionality in each of the products. But at the end of the day, that is what looks good on paper. That's not necessarily what is good for the business. So it's important to kind of take those things into account. So if you want to start a business in 2026, look at the businesses that are doing really well. Look at a Gruns. Look at one of these simplified business models and try to reverse engineer your way into it. Is there a product that you can start that has a big market, that's high margin, that's a consumable, that is subscription based, that people have time and time again, that's lightweight and easy to ship across the country? Is there something you can do there? Because I think that's the answer to being successful in 2026 if you're wanting to start a CPG or e-commerce based business. I think there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of different things you can start, but sometimes taking a product and just taking a simple approach to it is the easiest to operate and gives you the best chance to succeed. So take all those things into account. If that's something you guys are interested in, my DMs are always open. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, here on YouTube. Leave a comment, subscribe, and share with others. I think that's the best way that I can help. I'm no guru, but I've done okay for myself, and I'm trying to help everyone else. So if you guys have found any value in this breakdown, or you want more videos like this, please subscribe, please comment, please share with others, and we will see you next time.